So this is video 2 of the 6F. So I'll write that there. This is the 6F video notes. By raising both sides of the equation to a power like we were doing in that first video, we produced all of the possible solutions to the equation. However, not all of them are guaranteed to check out. So in solving radical equations, you must check all those possible solutions to see which ones are actually solutions. The solutions that do not check out are called extraneous solutions. All right, so example 2. Now this time it gets a little harder. Here's my equal sign, and you see I do have my radical alone on one side. And so my next step is to square both sides. So when I do that, I'll show this again. I have 16 plus x is equal to x minus 4. When I square both sides like this, my radical to the second power is going to bring out the radicand, so 16 plus x. And now I'm going to need to multiply this out. So this is going to actually be x minus 4 times x minus 4. So remember that when we do that, we're going to get x squared, and then we get minus 4x, and minus 4x is going to be minus 8x, and then negative 4 times negative 4 is plus 16. So when we square, we're squaring both sides of the equation, and if the side has two terms in it, then we're going to have to double distribute to get that answer. All right, so now I need to solve it for x. And what do we notice when we're looking at it? We notice that there is an x squared. So if you have an x squared, how do we go about solving it? We need to get a 0 on one side and everything else moved over. So I'm going to subtract my x, and that's going to give me then x squared, and that's going to be a minus x here, so minus 9x. And then I'm going to subtract my 16. Oh, that comes out nicely because that then is 0. So right now, this is what I have. 0 is equal to x squared minus 9x. So once we get that, then we have to factor this side. So it's got a GCF of x times x minus 9 is equal to 0. So then we're going to solve and say that either x is 0, so the x is 0, or x minus 9 is 0, so x is equal to 9. So when we check it, I'll go ahead and show this. When I check it, I'm going to first put my 0 in here and get the square root of 16 plus 0 is equal to 0 minus 4. So that's the square root of 16 is equal to negative 4. Whoops. Now 16, let's remember a radical 16 can never be negative. This always indicates the positive. So that tells me that x equals 0 is extraneous. And no, you don't have to write that every time. All right, so now let's check our 9 out. So we're going to have the square root of 16 plus 9 is equal to 9 minus 4. So that's the square root of 25 is equal to 5. And we can see that that does check. And I'll circle that as our only answer. All right, then B, this time, here's my radical again. But I have the plus x. You see, here's where the radical ends right there. And the plus x is outside of the radical. So I need to move it away so that this radical is alone on one side of the equal. So I'm going to subtract the x and get 5 subtract x is equal to the square root of 18 minus 2x. So then once I do that, then I'm going to square both sides. And again, I'll rewrite it so it'll be very obvious the steps that I've taken. So here I'm going to square both sides of the equal sign. So again, we're squaring the whole side. Now when I square a radical, it's going to bring out the radicand, so that just comes out. And then when I square this left side, then I'm going to double distribute. So I'm going to get 5 times 5 is 25. A negative 5x and a negative 5x is negative 10x. And then negative x times negative x is plus x squared. So double distribute. All right, so again, I observed the x squared. So that means that I want a 0 on the other side. So I'm going to subtract my 18, and that will give me a 7 there. And I'm going to add my 2x. That'll give me a minus 8x plus x squared equals to 0. All right, so I'm going to put this in descending order. So that's x squared minus 8x plus 7 is equal to 0. Factor it with the AC method. So x minus 7, x minus 1 multiplies to be 7, adds to be negative 8. So that means that x minus 7 is 0, so x is 7, and x minus 1 is 0, so x is 1. All right, so now I want to check over here. So I'll take my 7, I'll put it in to the original. So I have 5 is equal to the square root of 18 minus 2 times 7, which is 14, so minus 14, plus, and then that 7 goes on the outside there. So that's going to be 5 is equal to 18 minus the square root of 4 plus 7. So 5 is equal to 2 plus 7. Oops, that's not true. So that means that 7 is not a solution. It's extraneous. I'll just put EXT. So let's try our 1. So we put a 1 in. So we're going to have 5 is equal to the square root of 18 minus 2 times 1 is 2, and then plus 1. So 5 is equal to the square root of 16 plus 1. So that's 4 plus 1, and that is 5. So that does check, and 1 is my answer. So I think at this point on the next page, we have a try me. So again, take a minute and try to duplicate those steps and try this out so that you can see if you have any questions for next class.